Hey guys, tonight we begin with a story that's as rare as a comet, a tale of power, secrets, and a woman who ruled an empire in the 10th century, when the world was not exactly kind to women in power. You may be thinking, how did she even pull this off? Well, buckle up. You might not survive the first day of her rule, but that's part of the fun. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It's the year 990, and you've just woken up to find yourself standing at the threshold of one of the most complicated, powerful, and dangerous positions in Chinese history. The air smells faintly of incense. The soft murmur of palace servants fills your ears, and you can feel the weight of the crown on your head. Well, figuratively, at least you are about to become Empress Wu Zetian. Wait, let's backtrack for a moment. You might be wondering, who is Wu Zetian? She's not some legendary warrior queen like Cleopatra or some glorified historical figure. She is the real deal, the first and only female emperor of China who ruled not just as the wife of an emperor, but on her own terms. And if you think she just got there by being charming, well, buckle up because you're about to learn just how intense this journey really was. First things first, being a woman in ancient China means you have to be exceptionally good at playing the game. Not just any game, but one where everyone's playing for keeps. Wu Zetian didn't just step into the throne room with a "well, I'm here. Let's see how this goes." She started out in the imperial court as a mere concubine. But she wasn't just any concubine. She was smart, shrewd, and willing to do whatever it took to rise above the other hundreds of women in the emperor's harem. Oh, and speaking of harem life, did you know that in the Tang dynasty, the emperor's concubines were basically political chess pieces? Yeah, it wasn't all silk robes and music. These women had to be cunning, careful, and constantly aware of who was plotting against them. Trust me, you'd need a good grasp on how to navigate a palace full of backstabbers. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You are just waking up in the morning of your first day as Wu Zetian, the Empress of China. It's not a grand coronation. There's no orchestra playing in the background. You don't even get to wear a fancy crown just yet. No. The first thing you need to do is survive the first wave of political scheming and establish your position. The first move, making sure you don't get killed by the people who are still loyal to the late emperor's family. Yes, even though the late emperor's son is technically your husband now, you're still a target. Power is never handed on a silver platter. It's snatched. And it's not a clean snatch either. Some days, it's more like a dirty wrestling match where you're in the ring, and the other contenders are armed with sharp words and knives. No, not literal knives, but political knives. Don't be fooled by the peaceful sounds of a traditional Chinese flute playing in the background. Politics in ancient China. It's brutal, messy, and downright cutthroat. You're going to need to get creative with your next moves. Sure, you could rely on the typical methods, appealing to the masses, maintaining appearances, being gracious. But you're going to take a more unorthodox approach. Remember, this is a world where women aren't supposed to rule. Hell, women aren't even supposed to speak out of turn. So, how does a woman like you get noticed in the midst of all the men who think they have power? You have to do something different. Something that makes everyone take a step back and say, wait, who is this woman, and why is she so terrifyingly powerful? Here's the trick, Wu Zetian. Like you, knows that power isn't just about being loud. It's about being subtle. You start by winning the trust of your closest allies and making sure your enemies don't even know they're being played until it's too late. You know how to wield soft power, like a secret weapon hiding in plain sight. You start slowly but surely taking control of the bureaucracy. Then you work your way up. You're not just a figurehead, you're a force. And if someone crosses you, well, they won't be around long enough to regret it. You're patient, but you're also calculating. Every move you make is deliberate. Every word you speak is measured. Even your smiles, strategic. Oh, and here's something most people don't realize about Wu Zetian. She wasn't just focused on her own survival. She was also obsessed with how to fix China's broken system. That's right, she had plans to reform everything. From the way the government was run to how the imperial exams were conducted. Oh, the imperial exams. That's an interesting little nugget of history. You may think the exams were just about reading Confucian texts and being good at poetry, right? Well, yeah. But they were also a way for the emperor to pick out loyal, capable officials. And Wu Zetian. She didn't just sit back and let the old boys network dominate the government. No. She made sure that everyone in power was loyal to her. As Empress Wu, you would have to handle several delicate matters. Getting rid of the old, keeping the new loyal, and most importantly, maintaining your status in a male-dominated society. And despite all the challenges, you make it look easy. You rise and fall in the court, weaving your way through intrigues, and handling it all like a pro, all while sitting pretty on the imperial throne, watching everyone else scramble below you. But here's the kicker. Historical scholars still argue about how Wu Zetian truly managed her rise to power. Was she ruthless? Absolutely. But did she genuinely care about the welfare of her empire? History's still debating that. You wake up, and it's not the gentle, peaceful morning you might have hoped for. No, this is the start of your reign, and the weight of the empire is very much on your shoulders. The air feels thick, like it's holding its breath. The throne room is waiting, but not everyone is cheering. In fact, some of the most powerful men in your court are fuming. They're not just upset because they think you're a woman unworthy of ruling. They're upset because they've just realized they underestimated you. You've just risen to the throne. And let's be honest here. There's no manual for how to be a female emperor in 10th century China. You are going to have to improvise. But improvisation is your middle name. Well, it's not. But you get what I mean. The morning is busy. The courtyard outside the palace is bustling with activity as servants rush to and fro, preparing for a council meeting that could determine the future of the empire. Your first official move is setting the tone for how you're going to govern. You can't just walk in there like a random person. No, you have to show them that you are the Empress, and they will respect you. The pressure is mounting, but so is your resolve. This is your moment. You enter the council chamber. The high-ranking ministers, generals, and advisors are all seated around the long, polished table, their faces as serious as if they were preparing for battle. And in a way, they are. You step into the room with confidence, but not arrogance. After all, confidence is your secret weapon. It's not just about knowing what to say, it's about knowing how to say it. You need to strike that delicate balance between appearing strong and being just a bit unapproachable. Power can be a weird thing. You know that a single misstep could undermine everything you've worked for. So you're laser, focused, calculating. No, here's the fun part. This isn't just a regular council meeting where everyone shares their thoughts and votes on what should be done. Oh no, this is a battlefield of words. You've got men who, for centuries, have believed that a woman could never truly rule. You've got generals who've commanded armies, ministers who've held power for decades, and a dozen others just itching to see if you'll crack under the pressure. But you don't crack. Not today. No, you sit there listening, you let the arguments unfold. Let them reveal their strategies, their weaknesses, their arrogance. Some of them even have the nerve to question your ability to lead. They believe you're just a puppet, a figurehead, a woman in a fancy dress who will bow to their demands. What they don't realize is that this is your game. You know the politics, the intrigues, the backdoor deals, and you also know when to wait, when to speak, and when to let silence do the talking. You give a few careful glances to your most trusted advisors, those few loyal ministers who know your vision and your strength, and they nod in agreement. It's subtle, but effective. You're already showing them who holds the reins. Here's the thing about governing an empire like this. It's not just about winning the respect of your court, it's about playing the long game. You're not trying to impress them today. You're trying to ensure they won't try to take you down tomorrow. And the best way to do that, you make them need you. You make sure your plans and policies make such an impact on the empire that they can't even dream of going back to the old ways. So, what's your first big move? It's simple. You start with the military. It's one of the most powerful forces in the empire. And if you can win their loyalty, you've got the key to holding on to your position. Some of these generals think they can't be swayed by a woman's rule, but you've been preparing for this. You meet with them behind closed doors, one-on-one. You don't come in hot, ready to throw your weight around. No, you come in cool, calm, and with a plan that's so on point they can't help but follow you. You don't just tell them how it's going to be, you show them. One by one, you make sure that each of the generals knows they'll benefit from your leadership. You convince them that your policies won't just secure their future, they'll improve the strength of the entire empire. You're not just about maintaining control, you're about progress. And what's more, you're not asking for their loyalty, you're earning it. By the end of the day, the generals are walking out of your private meeting room with a newfound respect for you. They might not like it, but they can't deny it. They need you. Of course, not everyone is going to be on board. You've got those high-ranking officials who still haven't come to terms with a woman ruling. You can see the smug looks on their faces as they sit back in their chairs, arms crossed, waiting for you to falter. They'll make their moves, they always do. But you know how to handle them. You're prepared to take the fight to them if it comes down to it. You know where the weaknesses lie, and you are just waiting for them to overstep. But for now, you're sitting pretty. You've navigated your first council meeting, played your cards just right, and set the stage for a powerful reign. And as the meeting ends, the advisors reluctantly file out of the room, and you're left alone with your thoughts. You're not just the Empress now. You're a force to be reckoned with. But here's the thing that most people miss about Wu Zetian. She wasn't just about the political games. No, she was also a master of manipulation. Something no one saw coming from a woman in a time when women were supposed to be silent and subservient. She learned how to use power, soft power, in ways that would have most people shaking their heads in disbelief. She knew how to make enemies believe they were still in control, all while you were quietly steering the ship in your direction. Oh, and speaking of the strategy of ruling, did you know that many historians still debate whether Wu Zetian's rise to power was purely by merit, or if she used certain less than ethical methods to eliminate rivals? Some even argue that she poisoned her way to the top, although there's little concrete evidence to prove it. The truth is, the methods of her rule remain a mystery that the academic world has yet to fully unravel. The palace feels different today. There's a certain tension in the air, almost like the entire empire is holding its breath, waiting for your next move. You've been Empress for a while now, and let's just say you've already started shaking things up in ways no one expected. At first, they thought you were just a placeholder, a token. But now they're starting to realize you're not just a figurehead, you're a force. And that's making some people uncomfortable. The rumors are circulating like wildfire. Some say you are manipulating the emperor, pulling strings from behind the scenes. Others whisper that you've already started undermining some of the old court officials. But here's the thing. You're the one who's controlling the narrative now. Everyone is watching, waiting, but they're not seeing the full picture. They're not seeing the careful plotting, the long-term strategy you've been building behind the scenes. Your mind works like a chessboard, and every move you make is about positioning for the future. Today, though, today is different. You've decided to make a bold move. You're not waiting for your enemies to come after you. You're going to go after them first. It's time for your first real test of power. You've been quietly gathering allies, people who are loyal to you, not to the old regime. Your plan is simple. Start with the most dangerous player in the room, the one who thinks he's invincible. He's a powerful official in the court, and he's had his eye on the throne for years. Maybe he thinks he can oust you. Maybe he just doesn't like the idea of a woman ruling an empire. Either way, you know he's a threat. He's already been making moves, trying to rally support from the other officials, trying to create a faction within your own court. But you're ahead of him. You always are. You've already planted a few seeds in the right places. Whispers have begun to spread. Whispers that suggest he's not as loyal as he seems. A few key people have quietly voiced their doubts, and now you're ready to push those doubts into full-blown suspicion. You can't make a move against him directly. Not yet, but you don't need to. All you need to do is plant enough doubt to make his position unstable. And that's where your most powerful weapon comes into play. Trust. People trust you, or at least, they think they do. Your ability to manipulate information, to twist it just enough to fit your needs, is your greatest asset. You know exactly what to say to the right people at the right time, and you know exactly how to make your enemies believe they're still in control. They don't even know they're walking straight into your trap. You send a few carefully chosen courtiers to accidentally overhear conversations that make your target seem untrustworthy. It's all very subtle, nothing overt, nothing that would raise suspicions. Just a few well-placed comments here and there. A few rumors that float up from the palace corridors. A few quiet glances in his direction. The slow erosion of trust begins. But there's another problem. The emperor. While he's technically your husband, you know he's still holding on to his own power. He's not exactly thrilled about your increasing control over the court, but at the same time, he can't exactly do much about it without losing face. So, you've decided to keep him close. Not too close, but just enough so that he feels like he's still in charge. You have to make him feel powerful, but not more powerful than you. It's a delicate dance. The emperor isn't your enemy, not yet, at least. But he's definitely not your ally either. And you know that one day, maybe soon, you'll have to deal with him too. But for now, you'll keep him distracted with grandiose titles, ceremonial duties, and a little bit of delicate flattery on the side. As long as he's distracted, he'll stay out of your way. You've learned that keeping people feeling important can be a surprisingly effective way to keep them from noticing. They're not the ones in control. Now, back to the problem at hand. You've created a wedge between your target and the rest of the court. People are starting to whisper, and that's all you need. Soon, he'll make a mistake. He'll underestimate you. He'll think he can slip past your defenses, but you've already won. His downfall is inevitable. It's only a matter of time. The real question is how you'll handle it when it happens. Will you remove him quietly, or will you make a spectacle of it? Show the court exactly what happens to those who try to outmaneuver the Empress. The latter has its appeal. A public display of power could solidify your reign once and for all. After all, no one ever forgets an Empress who's willing to make a spectacle out of her enemies. But here's the thing, even when you win, there's always something else to worry about. People will always be watching. They'll be waiting for you to slip up. That's the price of power. There's never a moment where you can truly rest. Your enemies are always lurking in the shadows, just waiting for you to make a mistake. But you're not about to make that mistake, are you? You've already made your next move. The court is buzzing, unsure of what's coming next. But you know, you've already won this round. And the next one? Well, that's already in the bag. And here's a fun fact for you. Historical scholars still debate just how ruthless Wu Zetian was when it came to getting rid of her enemies. Some say she was a political mastermind, working behind the scenes to ensure her survival. Others argue she used more direct methods, including execution, to keep her rivals in check. The truth? Well, as with most things in history, it's up for debate. But one thing is clear, Wu Zetian was not someone you wanted to mess with. And you, well, you're starting to realize you might just be cut from the same cloth. You've finally settled into your role. But let's be clear, the palace is not a place for comfort. It's a maze of politics, alliances, and veiled threats. It's not just the grand halls and the imperial chambers. It's the shadows behind the silk curtains where the real games are played. And you've learned to play them all. The trick is to appear unthreatening while keeping your hands firmly on the reins. This morning is no different. As you wake up, there's a peculiar sense of calm in the air. As if the world outside the palace is holding its breath. You've just eliminated a significant rival. Let's call him Minister Li. His downfall wasn't dramatic, but it was effective. No bloodshed, no public execution. Just a quiet loss of power. The kind of subtlety that makes people second-guess everything they've ever known. People thought he was untouchable, but not anymore. And that, my friend, is the nature of power. It's about making people believe you're untouchable until they realize they've already walked straight into your trap. But just when you think you've got everything under control, you hear a whisper. Another challenge is on the horizon. And this time, it's not coming from a lowly minister or an ambitious general. No, this time, it's a much more dangerous threat. The Empress Dowager. She's your mother-in-law. And while most people would be content with a distant, civil relationship with their in-laws, you know that's not how power works in the royal family. The Empress Dowager holds considerable influence over the court. And even though she's technically no longer in power, she's been quietly pulling strings behind the scenes, using her influence over your husband to keep you in check. And here's the thing. The Empress Dowager doesn't like to be ignored. She's been ruling for decades. And her grip on the court is strong. Her support could mean the difference between a long, stable reign and a quick, fiery downfall. You need her on your side, but she's no fool. She knows that if you become too powerful, she risks losing her own influence. And she's not about to let that happen. You've heard rumors about her plotting against you, quietly assembling a faction of loyalists to challenge your authority. It's a delicate game she's playing, and she's playing it well. The question is, how are you going to counter her move without causing a full-blown family feud that could shake the entire empire? Here's the fun part. This is where your experience in the harem comes in handy. You've been training for this your whole life. The Empress Dowager is powerful, yes, but she's old school. She still believes in the old ways of running the empire, through family alliances, marriages, and open displays of power. You, however, have learned the art of subtlety. You don't need to fight her in the open. No, you're going to turn her own game against her. You start by making small moves. You take control of the conversations that matter. You gather information, quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes. The goal to isolate the Empress Dowager without her even realizing it. You begin by meeting with her allies, subtly offering them more power, more resources, and, here's the kicker. More loyalty. You've learned that loyalty in the court is like currency. If you can buy it, you can control it. But here's where things get tricky. The Empress Dowager is not an idiot. She's starting to notice the shift in the court's dynamics. She's seeing who's aligning with you and who's falling out of favor with her. And let's face it, she's not going to sit back and let you walk all over her. She's going to make her move soon, and you need to be ready. You decide to confront her, but you're not going to do it directly. No, you're going to use the one thing you have that she doesn't. The Emperor, your husband, may not have much say in actual decision making, but he still holds the symbolic power of the throne. You arrange a meeting with him, carefully ensuring the Empress Dowager is kept in the loop. It's all part of your plan to make her feel like she's still in control. You don't want her to think she's being sidelined. No, that would cause a rebellion. Instead, you give her just enough room to think she has influence, while you quietly move your pieces into place. And when the time comes, when the Empress Dowager attempts to strike, you'll be ready. You won't confront her head on because you know better. You'll use her own supporters to do the dirty work for you. You'll let the Empire turn on her, and when she's finally on her last legs, you'll swoop in offering help and gaining even more loyalty in the process. It's a slow burn, but it's a burn that will secure your place on the throne for good. This isn't just about ruling the Empire, it's about knowing exactly when to let someone think they've won, only to take the victory at the last possible moment. You've done it before, and you'll do it again. And when it's all over, you'll be sitting pretty, the undisputed ruler of all of China. By the way, here's a little known fact that many historians still debate. Wu Zetian's relationship with the Empress Dowager was much more complex than it first appears. Some believe the two women were at odds, constantly trying to outmaneuver each other for power. Others argue that Wu Zetian learned from her mother-in-law, taking cues from her diplomatic savvy and understanding the intricacies of court life. Historians still don't agree on how much of Wu Zetian's political strategy was influenced by the Empress Dowager's methods. The truth, like so much of history, is lost to time. It's strange, really, how quickly you've come to feel at home in the palace, with its marbled floors and high, vaulted ceilings. What was once a strange, intimidating labyrinth of power games and whispering courtiers now feels like a stage where you're the lead actress, the one everyone's eyes are on. But here is the thing about being at the top. You never really get to relax. There's always someone waiting for you to slip. Always someone out there plotting against you, whether they're in the palace or beyond the walls of the imperial city. But let's be real, your enemies don't even know the half of it. You've learned the game. You know when to hold your cards close and when to play a hand that leaves everyone else scrambling. Power isn't just about brute force. It's about knowing exactly when to strike and when to let the tension simmer. Today, there's a new challenge on the horizon. You've managed to handle your rivals inside the palace, but now there's a more pressing issue. The Empire is facing external threats. The northern tribes are restless, and their raids along the borders are becoming more frequent. But here's the kicker. No one expects you, a woman, to be the one to lead a military response. You think that's going to stop you? Not in the slightest. You've had your eyes on the military for a while now. The generals are your next big hurdle, the ones you need to keep loyal or neutralize. You've already made sure that the palace is firmly under your control, but you know that the loyalty of the military will determine the stability of your reign. If you fail here, everything will crumble. You're not about to just send your generals off to fight and pray they come back victorious. No, you're going to lead this campaign. You want to prove to everyone, especially to those who doubted you, that you're more than just a figurehead. You want to show them that you can lead with the same iron fist as any man. Your decisions will determine whether the empire stands or falls, and you're not about to let anyone forget that you are in charge. You summon your most trusted military advisor, General Zhang. He's been with you from the beginning, and you know that, for all his stoic exterior, he respects your intellect. He's always been the kind of person who expects results, and today, you'll give him one. You explain your strategy, an aggressive defense that focuses on hitting the enemy before they have a chance to regroup. You want to use the element of surprise to your advantage. Zhang listens quietly, nodding in agreement. You know he'll execute your plan without question, but you also sense that he's wary. Maybe it's because you're a woman, or maybe it's because this is a bold move, one that will test everyone's loyalty. Regardless, you need to make sure that every general and every soldier under your command understands that your plan is the only plan. You walk the palace halls, making your way to the War Council room. The generals are already waiting for you, They're sitting at the long, polished table, a mix of older men with long beards and younger officers who still have fire in their eyes. They all look up when you enter, and there's a moment of silence. It's not a silent salute, more of a silent pause, a brief hesitation before they realize what's happening. You take your seat at the head of the table. It's a small gesture, but it's an important one. You're not sitting in the middle or at the end, you're at the top, the only place for the Empress. And that's exactly how it's going to stay. You begin by outlining your strategy, speaking clearly, your voice steady. You can feel their eyes on you, skeptical at first, but slowly they begin to nod along. There's something in the way you speak, the confidence in your delivery that even the most battle-hardened generals can't ignore. You've got a plan, and it's a good one. And even if they don't like it, they have to follow it. As you finish explaining your strategy, you can sense that the generals are slowly coming around. They're starting to see that this isn't just a woman telling them what to do. It's an empress with a plan that could save the empire, and that's more than enough to get their attention. But there's still one more thing. You know how to test loyalty. And you know exactly how to deal with those who might think twice about your leadership. You look at General Wu, the most skeptical of the group. He's always been dismissive of your rule, always made comments about how a woman could never lead a military campaign. You've tolerated his mutterings for long enough. It's time to remind him, politely, that you're not someone to be underestimated. You speak to him directly, your tone calm, but there's an edge to it that makes him stiffen. General Wu, you say, meeting his gaze. I trust you'll follow the strategy as I've laid it out. After all, I wouldn't want to think that a loyal subject of mine might disagree with the Empress's orders. The room goes silent. General Wu hesitates for a moment, and then, slowly, he nods. There's no other choice. The pressure is on. His pride won't allow him to back down. Not now. Not when the rest of the generals are watching. As the meeting wraps up, you can already feel the shift in the room. The generals leave, their expressions more respectful than when they entered. You've just won their loyalty. And more importantly, you've shown them that you're the one in control. Later, as you stand at the palace balcony, watching the sun sink behind the mountains, you feel a momentary sense of peace. The battle hasn't been fought yet, but you've won the first round. You've shown the generals and the empire that you're not just a ruler in name. You're a ruler with the power to back it up. Here's something you might not know. Wu Zetian's military campaigns are often downplayed in history. While she's remembered for her political cunning and her role in court intrigues, she was also deeply involved in the empire's military strategy. In fact, many of her successes were built on military innovation and leadership. Though historians still debate how much of this was directly influenced by her, or whether it was the work of her generals. It's one of those academic debates that's likely to go on forever. But for now, you're focused on the present, on securing your rule and ensuring that the empire is safe from external threats. Because in the end, it's all about survival. And you, my friend, are built for it. The evening air in the palace feels unusually crisp tonight. A slight breeze slipping through the open windows, carrying the scent of lotus flowers from the garden below. It's peaceful, almost calming, except for the tension that you can feel hanging over the palace like an unwelcome guest. You've managed to win the loyalty of the military. You've solidified your place within the court. And yet, there's always someone waiting for you to slip. In the world of palace politics, a single misstep could undo everything. The truth is, your enemies aren't going away. The game you're playing is one of subtlety. But sometimes, subtlety isn't enough. Sometimes, you need to make your enemies understand that they don't have a chance of winning. It's another long day, filled with meetings and discussions about the state of the empire. Yet tonight, there's something different in the air. You know that your enemies are beginning to realize that they can't just wait for you to fall. They have to act now. That's when you decide to take the initiative. It's time to strike first. You've been biding your time, waiting for the perfect moment to assert your power in a way that leaves no doubt in anyone's mind. You are the one in charge here. You're in the imperial study, reviewing the latest reports from the provinces when the news comes. It's quick, whispered by one of your trusted servants. The word has spread. There's a conspiracy. The court officials who've been quietly opposing your rule have started to rally together, planning to overthrow you. But here's the thing. They're too late. The moment the conspiracy is even whispered in the palace, it's already too late for them. You've known about it long before anyone realized they were being watched. The question now isn't whether you're going to crush this conspiracy. It's how you're going to do it. You have to be careful. A public execution could stir unrest. You don't want to fuel the fire of rebellion, but you've also made it clear. Disloyalty will not be tolerated. So, you play the game the only way you know how, quietly, efficiently, and ruthlessly. You decide on a strategy of isolation. The conspirators need to be eliminated. Yes, but more importantly, their network of support needs to be dismantled. You've been gathering intel on every single official in the court, and now you make your move. Each conspirator is carefully and quietly stripped of their power. Some are reassigned to remote provinces where they'll be far from the court's intrigue. Others are subtly neutralized, removed from positions of influence without anyone ever knowing exactly why. As the last of the conspirators fall into line, either by your hand or the hands of those loyal to you, you can't help but feel a rush of power. You've done it. The plot against you has been crushed, and with it, any hopes of rebellion. But there's still one more thing you need to do. You need to send a message to the rest of the court. You need them to understand that this empire will bend to your will, and anyone who dares defy you will suffer the consequences. That's where the Emperor comes in. He may have been a figurehead until now, but you've been making sure he's been the perfect puppet. Today, you decide to use him as part of your strategy. He's no threat to you, not anymore, but he still holds that symbolic power. And sometimes, you need that symbol to reinforce your rule. So, you ask the Emperor to publicly announce your recent victory against the conspirators. It's a small thing, really. Just a formal statement that everyone knows has been written by you. But it's enough. You want everyone to see that you are the true ruler. The Emperor's involvement, while minor, solidifies that this is your empire now. The day of the announcement arrives. The court assembles in the grand hall, everyone dressed in their finest silks and brocades, pretending that everything is just business as usual. The Emperor stands at the front of the room, his hands trembling ever so slightly as he reads the declaration you've written. The words are simple: matter of fact. The conspirators have been dealt with. The empire is secure. You watch the faces of your court as the Emperor reads your words. Some of them try to hide their expressions, but you can see the fear in their eyes. They know that you've just solidified your power, that you've shown them that no one can undermine you and get away with it. They might not like it, but they can't deny it. You're the one in charge here. When the announcement is finished, you watch as everyone slowly starts to disperse, each of them thinking their own thoughts. Some are already making plans, plotting their next moves. But they don't realize your next move is already in motion. You've already won. All that's left is for them to realize. You leave the hall, stepping into the courtyard with a quiet confidence. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the grounds. It's peaceful now. For a moment, you can almost forget about the politics, the intrigues, the endless plotting almost. But then, you remember what you've just done. You've shown them all who's in charge, and there's no going back now. The empire is yours, and anyone who dares to challenge you will find themselves swept away by the tide of your power. A little-known fact. Wu Zetian's rise to power was actually met with significant resistance, not just from her rivals in the court but from the people themselves. Some believed that a woman simply couldn't rule the mighty empire of China. There were even rumors that she had used a series of manipulative tactics to silence her critics and ensure her reign. Historians still debate how much of this is true and how much is mere speculation, one of those unresolved mysteries of history. But as for you, you've just proven, in the most dramatic way possible, that the Empress doesn't need anyone's permission to rule. You just need to know how to play the game, and you've mastered it. The weight of the empire presses on you once again. You can feel it in the pit of your stomach, this persistent tug of responsibility that refuses to let you breathe freely. You've taken down enemies, you've neutralized conspirators, and you've proven yourself as the true ruler of the empire. But now comes the hardest part: maintaining power. Today is one of those days where the delicate balance of rule feels like it could tip in a heartbeat. Everything is on the line. You've cleared away threats from your court and dealt with the external dangers, but there's something gnawing at you. You can't quite put your finger on it yet, but you know it's there, a shadow in the back of your mind. There's always something that will come next, something new to face. You're not foolish enough to think that the court will simply lie down and accept your reign without challenge. No, you've earned their grudging respect, but you're still a woman in a man's world, and that is never easy to overcome. Your presence in the palace is constant, your power is undeniable, but there will always be whispers, rumors, about your legitimacy, about your right to rule. It's funny, really, how you've had to constantly prove yourself. Your every move scrutinized, your every decision second-guessed. You didn't get to this point by being quiet or gentle. You got here because you knew how to wield power, and you've learned to wield it like a finely honed blade, subtle yet sharp. It's late afternoon when the news reaches you, It's not the kind of news you like to hear. The kind that rattles the very foundations of your rule. The ministers are in an uproar. It seems that despite your calculated moves, despite all the power you've amassed, there's a growing sense of unrest outside the palace. The common people are starting to murmur. They're not happy. The empire's taxes have gone up, resources are stretched thin. And while the generals continue to focus on the external threats, they've been neglecting the very people they're supposed to protect. But here's the thing you didn't expect. This unrest, this simmering discontent, it's spreading, and it's starting to turn against you. Some are starting to say that you're an outsider, that your power is illegitimate. The nobility doesn't care much about the commoners. They never do. But this is different. This is the one thing you can't control, the will of the people. You gather your inner circle, the trusted few who have always been loyal. The quietest one in the room, your closest advisor, speaks up. Your Majesty, we can't ignore this. The people are starting to feel the strain, and that strain is turning into anger. You nod, acknowledging the weight of his words. Of course you know this. You've seen the signs. But what can you do? It's not like you can personally march through the streets and calm everyone down. You're not some common woman leading a rebellion. You're the Empress. But even so, the heart of the empire beats in the streets, in the marketplaces, and in the lives of the people. You can't forget that. You could tighten your grip. You could raise taxes even higher, punish dissent, and show them that no one defies you. But here's where you make a decision that sets you apart from all the other rulers in history. You realize that power, real power, isn't about crushing your opponents into submission. It's about earning loyalty. True loyalty. So instead of retaliating, you decide to act. You'll fix this, not by using force, but by addressing the root of the problem, the people suffering. You order a meeting with the ministers and the generals. You've never been one to shy away from tough decisions, and today will be no different. The generals arrive, the ministers too, each one bowing low as they enter the chamber. You stand before them, a quiet force that commands attention. You begin by addressing the issue that no one wants to speak of, the welfare of the people. You've heard the complaints, and you know the rumors. Now, you demand that they address the causes of the unrest. You ask for solutions. You don't shout or make demands. You don't need to. Your presence alone carries weight, and your command is simple. Fix it. It's here that you make your next big move. You, the Empress, have just laid the groundwork for a new kind of leadership. You don't rule by fear alone. No, you rule by action, by listening, by doing what no one expects you to do. And in that moment, you realize that this is where your true power lies, not in what you've already accomplished, but in what you're willing to do to protect the future of the empire. And just like that, the tide begins to shift. Your generals and ministers start to see that you're not a ruler to be feared, but a ruler who is wise enough to listen. They begin to understand that your reign is about more than just control. It's about balance. It's about progress. You've just created an opening for yourself to connect with the very people you're supposed to rule. And that's where the real power lies. Not just in what's in your hands, but in what you do with it. The decisions you make today will be the ones that define your legacy. But here's the funny thing about power. Even when you've got it, even when you've done everything right, someone's always going to challenge you. Someone's always going to test your resolve. The question is not whether they'll challenge you, but whether you'll be ready when they do. Now, a little side note. Historians still debate just how much Wu Zetian was truly loved by the people. On one hand, she implemented several reforms that improved the state of the empire. But on the other hand, her rule was marked by suppression of dissent and harsh punishments for those who stood against her. Did the people love her, or were they simply too afraid to do anything else? That's still up for debate. But as for you, you've made it clear. This empire will bend to your will, or it will fall. And as the evening sky darkens, you feel the calm after the storm, knowing you've once again secured your place. It's an unsettling silence that hangs in the air tonight, a calm before what you know will soon be another storm. The empire is, in many ways, beginning to feel the weight of your rule, not just in the palace, but in the provinces as well. You've taken steps to quash the growing unrest, to remind the people that their welfare matters to you. But the true test of leadership, as you've learned, isn't just about solving one problem at a time. It's about foresight, knowing that another challenge is always just around the corner. You sit in your private chambers, the flickering of candlelight casting long shadows across the room. The empire is vast, far too vast for any one person to truly govern it without help, without influence. You've built your power carefully, establishing a network of allies and advisors. But the real question now is how long you can keep it all from crumbling under its own weight. Every decision you make ripples outward, and even the slightest misstep could send the entire empire into turmoil. And then there's the issue of succession. You may be Empress now, but your dynasty will only last if you have an heir to carry on your legacy. The thought of this sends a shiver down your spine, though you hide it well. The empire cannot be built on the fragile promises of men. It must be secure, enduring. That's the hardest part about being a woman in power, isn't it? It's not just about ruling in the present, it's about ensuring that your power lasts long after you're gone. And how does one ensure that? You need a child, a son, preferably. Someone who can step into your shoes when the time comes and keep the empire intact. It's not a question of capability. No, you've already shown that you can handle the empire on your own. But of perception. Power is inherited, not given. And unless you ensure your bloodline's dominance, there will always be those who question whether a woman can truly rule an empire. It's a difficult decision, one that weighs on you more than any war council or political battle ever has. You've spent years proving that you are more than capable of ruling. But now you're faced with the most personal challenge of all, securing your legacy, your lineage, and the future of China itself. You've been married to Emperor Gaozong for years, and while your relationship has never been particularly affectionate, it served its purpose. You've learned that love in this world, in your position, is an illusion. Marriage is about power, about alliance, and about ensuring that no one ever has the upper hand over you. But as the years pass, you can't ignore the pressure that grows with every passing day. And now, it's time. You decide that the time has come to have a son. It's not romantic, and it's not something born out of love, but necessity. The imperial family can't afford another weak ruler, and you can't afford to be the only link in the chain. The pressure is immense, and yet you make it clear to your court that the succession must be secured at all costs. The need for an heir becomes your new obsession, a subtle but all-consuming force. The birth of an heir is always a monumental event, and as you go through the motions of this pregnancy, the eyes of the entire empire are on you. You can feel the pressure mounting, the silent whispers, the uncertainty in the air as every minister and every noble waits to see whether your child will be a son. Your dynasty, your rule, your legacy. It all hinges on this. It's a long, intense wait. As the months go by, you maintain your composure even though inside the anxiety gnaws at you. If you succeed, your rule will be cemented for generations to come. If you fail, however, well, the repercussions could be disastrous. You can already feel the eyes of your rivals burning through the walls. They're waiting, hoping that you'll stumble, that you'll fail in your most basic task as a woman. They think that your failure will prove that a woman could never truly be the ruler of China. But you refuse to entertain that possibility. You've fought too hard for this. You've built your power through calculation, through cunning, through understanding what it means to rule. And you will not let the weight of expectation, society's obsession with gender and power, define you. Finally, the day arrives. It's like everything slows down as the palace prepares for the birth. The corridors echo with the sound of hurried footsteps, of anxious servants running to and fro, the air thick with anticipation. Your body aches with the effort, but you refuse to show weakness. Your Empress Wu Zetian, you've faced worse. You will get through this. And when the child is born, it's a son. The room erupts with relief. The tension that has gripped the palace for months now dissolves into a collective exhale. Your legacy is secure. The future of your empire is in safe hands. Your hands, you've done it. You've secured your place in history. But here's the kicker. Securing your legacy is never as simple as it seems. Sure, you've produced an heir, and that's a monumental achievement in itself. But power is never permanent. There are still those who would see you fail. Those who would question your ability to rule, and worst of all, there are those who want to see your bloodline extinguished. Here's an interesting tidbit. The question of whether Wu Zetian's reign was a success is still hotly debated among historians. Some view her as a brilliant visionary leader who modernized the empire and created lasting reforms. Others argue that her reign was one of cruelty, manipulation, and power plays that overshadowed her achievements. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. You know this all too well. Your power is secure for now, but the game is far from over. The true test of your reign has just begun. There's a feeling that comes with power, isn't there? It's the strange blend of isolation and invincibility. On one hand, you've secured your position as Empress, and for now, that's enough. But on the other hand, there's always this quiet, nagging thought that you've never truly arrived. Because, in your world, arriving means your enemies have stopped trying to bring you down. And that hasn't happened yet. The birth of your son, the future emperor, has done wonders for securing your legitimacy. The court is now officially in your corner, and whispers of your reign being a fluke or a temporary anomaly have all but died down. But the road to absolute power is never smooth. And just because you've earned one victory doesn't mean the next battle will be any less exhausting. Your son, the heir, is growing rapidly. He is as much a symbol of your reign as he is a future ruler. But, let's be clear, you know what this really means. He is not just the future face of the empire. He's a potential threat, a rival for your power. And while the court bows to your decisions for now, you can already sense the subtle undercurrents of people eager to see your son take the throne before you fully cemented your control. Your position as Empress is one of fragility, despite what the court may believe. Today, as you walk through the palace halls, you can almost feel the tension in the air. Everyone is watching you. Every glance, every gesture carefully analyzed. The moment you slip, it will be noted. You know better than anyone that power is fleeting, just as you were once underestimated and overlooked. There are those within the palace who believe they'll be able to turn the court in favor of your son when the time comes. You walk into the council room where the generals and ministers are already seated. The room is quieter than usual. There's a subtle coldness in the air. And for a moment, you wonder if this is the calm before the storm. You take your seat, nodding curtly to those around you. There's no need for pleasantries now. You don't have time for them. Today, the issue on the table is a military one. Word has come that the northern tribes have regrouped, and their raids are becoming more organized. The provinces in the north are starting to panic. The generals are calling for a stronger response. But here's the kicker. They want you to take a backseat. They're suggesting that you let your son, the heir, lead the charge. It will prove his leadership, they say. It will solidify his place in the empire, they argue. And you, of course, are supposed to step back and let this play out. You know exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to undermine you. They're hoping that by letting your son take command, they can sideline you, paint you as just a mother, not the ruler you truly are. They're trying to take advantage of your position to weaken you, to make you look weak in the eyes of the court. You're not about to let that happen. You've worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to let them use your son as a pawn in their game. So, you do something that surprises everyone in the room. You nod in agreement. But only to a point. You tell the generals that yes, your son will lead the charge, but only under your supervision. He will not be left to command on his own. You will accompany him, overseeing every move, ensuring that the battle is won with your strategy. You don't just let your son take the reins. You take them yourself, quietly ensuring that everyone in the room knows who is still in control. The generals hesitate. They know you've just outmaneuvered them, but they can't exactly protest. What are they going to do? Say no to the Empress? They might be generals, but you're the Empress. You're the one who commands not just armies, but the hearts and minds of the people. Your son, the heir, looks at you with wide eyes. He knows exactly what's happening, and though he's still young, there's a spark in his gaze. A promise that one day he will lead. But for now, the reins are still in your hands. You will guide him, but only when you're ready to let go. The battle ahead is going to be difficult. The northern tribes are a fierce adversary, and they're not going to back down without a fight. But you're ready. You've always been ready. You know the art of war as much as any general, and you've learned the tactics of survival through years of political warfare. This will be just another battle, one that will secure your son's position, but more importantly, secure your position. And as you walk out of the council room, you can feel the shift in the air. You've once again proven that you're not just a figurehead. You're the ruler of this empire, and no one, not even your own son, will take that away from you. And here's the twist. Historians have long debated whether Wu Zetian's role in military matters was as influential as her political strategies. While some records suggest that she played a direct role in military decisions, others claim that she delegated that authority to her generals. But what is certain is this. Wu Zetian was always present, always in control. She never let the empire slip from her grasp, not even for a moment. The question remains, will your son one day sit on the throne as you did, or will he become another footnote in the long history of rulers who came before him? It's funny, isn't it? How the more you gain, the more you realize just how fragile it all is? You've spent years carving out your place in history, outmaneuvering rivals, winning the loyalty of generals, securing your son's future, and yet, here you are again, at the center of it all, feeling the pressure more than ever. Power is a strange thing. You think you've earned it, that you've cemented your rule, and then suddenly, the ground beneath your feet begins to shift. Ever so slightly, but enough to make you realize, just for a moment, that it's never really yours to hold for long. The victory over the northern tribes had been a triumph. Yes, your son took the credit, his position as heir solidified in the eyes of the court and the people. But the real question now is not whether you're still in control. It's how long you can maintain that control when the world around you is shifting. Today feels different though. You've been in this palace for years, listening to the whispers in the halls, watching the shifting alliances. You know the game, you've played it better than anyone, but even the most experienced players can't predict every move. And right now, you feel the sting of something you didn't anticipate. Betrayal. It's subtle at first. A letter arrives, sealed with the insignia of one of your most trusted advisors. It's brief, too brief, really. It doesn't seem like much. A few lines of text that talk about the shifting tides in the provinces, about potential unrest, but beneath the surface, you can feel the truth, something darker. There's a hint of doubt, a suggestion that your reign may not be as secure as you think. Your closest ally is starting to falter, to hedge his bets, and it's all because of a growing faction within the court that believes it's time for a change. The ministers are starting to grow bolder. Their whispers are louder now, and while some of them continue to play along, you know that the seeds of rebellion have been sown. You can't afford to waste time, you need to act, and fast, but you're not going to rush into anything. That's not your way. Instead, you wait. As you've done so many times before, watching, listening, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. You call for a private meeting with your most trusted advisor. His name is Li Cheng, a man who's been with you since the very beginning, when your only weapon was your wit, your patience, and your ability to see through the thin veils of loyalty. You trust him, but even in this moment you can't help but wonder, how far will he go if the pressure becomes too great? You've seen the signs in the way he's been acting, hesitant, distant, but you need him now, and you need him to be loyal. He enters the room, his face as calm as ever, but you can sense the unease beneath the surface. There's a flicker in his eyes that betrays him. He knows that something is coming. He sits across from you, the room heavy with silence, and you can almost hear the ticking of time as it passes. You're the one who breaks the quiet first. Li Cheng, you begin, your voice steady. Tell me what's really going on in the court. Don't lie to me. I can feel the change, and I won't tolerate it. He pauses, clearly struggling with his words. You know that it's not an easy thing to betray someone who's been there for you when no one else would. But the way he hesitates tells you everything you need to know. There's something he's not telling you. And in this moment, you realize that his loyalty has been stretched thin. The ministers, he starts, his voice low. They're growing restless, they feel. They feel that your son should be given more power, more authority in the court. They think it's time for a change. You've done well, Empress, but, well, they think you've reached your peak. It's not the first time I've heard it. The very people who've supported you, who've stood by your side, are now turning their attention to your son. They see him as the future, the one who can lead the empire without the baggage of your history, your rise. They think he'll be easier to control. They think they can use him to overthrow you. You lean back in your chair, steely calm on the outside, but your mind working furiously. You've seen this before. The same whispers, the same plans. People always think they can take you down when they're not paying attention. The moment they think you're vulnerable, they make their move. But here's the thing. They haven't even begun to understand the true depth of your power. You didn't just fight your way to the top through brute force. You did it through intelligence, through foresight, through playing the long game. You didn't come this far just to watch it all fall apart. No, you're going to fight back, and you're going to do it in a way that no one will see coming. Thank you, Li Cheng, you say quietly. You've been honest with me, and now I have to be honest with you. This empire is mine, and no one, not the ministers, not my son, will take it from me. I've fought for every inch of this, and I will continue to fight. Now, go. Make sure those who are loyal to me know what must be done. He nods and stands, his posture stiff. He's loyal to the end, but you can see it in his eyes. He's already wondering if he's made a mistake by staying loyal to you. That's the cost of power, though, isn't it? There are always those who doubt, who fear, who plot. As he exits the room, you sit in silence. The weight of the decision settles on your shoulders. The rebellion is coming, but it won't be a rebellion of open battle. No, it will be a battle of whispers, of subterfuge, and of silence. And in this game of shadows, you've always been one step ahead. Now, here's something you might find interesting. Historians still can't quite agree on the methods Wu Zetian used to secure her rule. Some argue she used ruthless tactics to remove her rivals, even going so far as to have them executed or exiled. Others claim she was a savvy political strategist who built alliances and used diplomacy to maintain her power. What's clear, though, is that she did everything necessary to stay in control, no matter the cost. And as the night falls, you realize that the game is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. You've faced your fair share of challenges, haven't you? Every day has been a test of your ability to control, to outwit, to survive. But this is different. The rebellion, the whispers, the quiet plotting against you. It's not like anything you've dealt with before. You've had enemies before, of course. But this is insidious. A slow poison creeping through the Empire's veins, working from the inside out. It's not just the ministers anymore. It's the generals. It's the nobles. Even your closest advisors are starting to falter, wavering in their loyalty, as if they're unsure whether to stand by you or side with the forces that are quietly, subtly rising against you. You can feel the cracks forming beneath your feet, the pressure building on all sides. The empire you've worked so hard to build, to protect, is beginning to shift, to erode. You knew this day would come, didn't you? You've always known that power, no matter how firmly it seems to rest in your hands, is a fragile thing. But there's a difference between knowing something and feeling it. And right now, as you walk through the grand halls of your palace, the weight of that knowledge presses down on you with a new intensity. It's in your steps, in the way you move through the rooms, in the eyes of the courtiers who still bow and pay their respects, but whose smiles seem a little less genuine. You can feel it in the air. They're watching, waiting for you to make a mistake. But they don't realize you've never made a mistake. You've always known exactly what to do, and now you'll show them exactly how far you're willing to go to protect your rule. Tonight, you call for a meeting, a private one, with the most trusted of your inner circle. These are the people who've stood by you, who've been loyal to you even when the winds of power have shifted. It's time to put an end to this rebellion before it has a chance to grow any stronger. The traitors will be rooted out, their schemes crushed before they have a chance to take shape. The room is dimly lit when they arrive, the air heavy with anticipation. There's no fanfare here, no grand speeches, just a quiet tension, a sense of urgency. You sit at the head of the table, your hands folded in front of you. The advisors and generals file in one by one, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. They know something is coming. They just don't know what. You waste no time. I know what's been happening behind closed doors, you say, your voice calm, but with an edge that makes everyone in the room tense. I know about the alliances being formed, the discussions taking place. I've known for weeks, but here's the thing. You continue leaning forward. Those of you who have betrayed me, who think they can take this empire from me, are gravely mistaken. You can plot all you want, but I will always be one step ahead. You can't outwit the Empress. The silence in the room is thick, suffocating. The generals exchange glances, and for the first time, you see fear flicker in their eyes. You've never shown this side of yourself before. Not to them, at least. But now they realize that you're not just the ruler of China. You're its protector. You won't let anyone tear it apart. One of the generals, the most vocal critic of your reign, speaks up. His voice is steady, but there's a tremor beneath the surface. You can't keep us all in check, Wu Zetian, he says. You've already started to lose control. The court is divided. The people are restless. You're too isolated. Your reign is at an end. You don't even flinch. Instead, you smile. It's not a kind smile. It's the smile of someone who knows exactly how this is going to play out. You think I'm isolated? You ask. Your tone playful but biting? That's where you're wrong. The only thing that's isolated is your position. You've lost the support of the court. And soon, you'll lose the support of the people as well. You've miscalculated. You stand slowly, your gaze sweeping across the room. The generals sit frozen, waiting for what comes next. You see, you continue, loyalty isn't just about power, it's about respect. And you've lost both. You might think you're in control now, but soon, you'll realize that power isn't as easily taken as you think. It's earned. And with that, you make your move. You've already made arrangements, already sent your most trusted allies to neutralize the rebellion before it can spread. As you finish speaking, your loyal followers begin to quietly remove the conspirators from the room. There are no dramatic showdowns, no bloodshed, just swift, efficient action. You're always 2 steps ahead, always prepared. As the conspirators are escorted away, their heads low in defeat, you feel a strange calm wash over you. You've done what needed to be done. And with this, the rebellion is over before it even truly began. But as they leave the room, you can't help but wonder, how long will this calm last? History has shown time and again that those who rule with an iron grip are never safe. There's always someone waiting in the wings, always someone plotting for your downfall. The question isn't whether you'll win. It's whether you'll be able to hold on long enough to see the empire through. And speaking of history, here's an interesting tidbit. Historians can't agree on whether Wu Zetian's reign was more defined by her political genius or her ruthlessness. Some argue she was a brilliant strategist who navigated the complexities of the imperial court with unparalleled skill. Others claim she was a tyrant who used manipulation and fear to stay in power. The truth? Well, that's still up for debate. For now, though, the empire is secure, and you are still the one in charge, and that's all that matters. It's early evening and the air in the palace feels dense with unspoken words. You've spent the day sitting at the edge of your empire, watching as your enemies fall into place. One by one, just as you'd predicted. Your move to eliminate the rebellion was swift and efficient. No unnecessary bloodshed. Just a quiet eradication of threats, a masterstroke in strategic power. Yet even in this victory, you know the game is far from over. The quiet of the evening is deceiving. As the sun sets and the shadows stretch across the walls of your palace, you feel the pressure of leadership, of holding everything together. Your reign is secure for now, but you're keenly aware that it's never as simple as one victory. Power is a fleeting thing, a game that never ends, and right now you are preparing for the next chapter in your empire's history. You've fought hard for this moment, for the right to rule, and you've silenced the traitors and the doubters who thought they could take it from you. But in this quiet, you can't ignore the thought that lingers in the back of your mind. How long can this last? In the days since the rebellion was crushed, you've noticed something subtle. The whispers are back. They're not the same kind of whispers as before. The ones questioning your rule, the ones suggesting you're unfit to lead. These whispers are different. These are the whispers of gratitude, of admiration, even of fear. The court, it seems, is starting to realize something. You are undeniably powerful. And in a world where power is everything, that's the most dangerous thing of all. It's late, the palace now bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, and you find yourself alone in your chambers. For once, there are no meetings, no conspiracies to deal with, no one to watch you, no one to report on your every move, just silence. You walk to the window, gazing out at the sprawling city below. The capital is alive, buzzing with the hum of daily life. It's a beautiful sight. Your city, your empire. But behind the beauty, you can see the cracks beginning to form. The empire is vast, and even a ruler like you, so skilled and calculating, can't hold it all together forever. There are so many layers to manage, each province, each faction, each courtier vying for your favor. One wrong move, and it could all collapse in an instant. Your thoughts are interrupted by a soft knock on the door. You don't need to tell them to enter. The door opens, and your most trusted advisor steps inside, his face as impassive as ever, but you know him well enough to see the flicker of concern in his eyes. Something is off. Your Majesty, he begins, bowing low before straightening up to address you. There are reports of unrest in the provinces again. The northern border is still unstable, and word has come that certain regions are showing signs of rebellion. It appears that some of the nobles, those who supported your son's rise, are rallying again, this time under a different banner. You don't flinch. You've been waiting for this moment, waiting for the next challenge to rear its ugly head. You'd almost be surprised if it didn't happen. After all, the empire is never stable. Not for long. There's always something stirring beneath the surface. So, it begins again. You mutter to yourself more to settle your thoughts than anything. You've seen this before. Rebellions are a constant in your line of work. People think that with one victory, they've earned their place at the top. But they forget, nothing lasts forever. And that's the key to maintaining control. Outlast them. Outlast them all. Your advisor continues, but you've already tuned him out. The solution is simple. You've been through this before. You know how to handle these rebels. You'll need to move quickly, strike before they can organize, and remind them why it's dangerous to cross the Empress. As the meeting continues, you make a mental note of your next steps. You'll need to send a clear message to the rebels, one that shows them you're not afraid to take action. You don't need to personally fight the battles. Not anymore. Your generals will handle that. What you need to do is show the court, show the empire, that you are the one pulling the strings. You will remain the puppet master, controlling every movement, every decision. The plan begins to take shape in your mind. It's a careful, measured strategy, one that will reassert your dominance without causing unnecessary bloodshed. You know that while power can be taken, it can also be reclaimed, and you've learned how to reclaim it when necessary. As your advisor finishes delivering the grim news, you nod in agreement. Send word to the generals. You instruct. Tell them we move at dawn. This rebellion will be dealt with swiftly and decisively, and let them know. This time, there will be no second chances. He bows again, turning to leave, but you stop him. And as for the nobles, make sure they understand that I know who has been loyal and who has not. No one, not even my son, is beyond my reach. You watch him leave, feeling a sense of calm wash over you. This is what you were born to do. Lead control. Never allow anyone to take what you've earned. And as long as you are the Empress, there will always be someone vying for your throne. Not today, not ever. Here's something historians are still debating. Wu Zetian's relationship with her son, Emperor Zhongzong, is often seen as one of political necessity. While she initially groomed him to take over, there's evidence to suggest that she did so with one eye always on the throne. The son was useful, but the empire was hers. Some believe Wu Zetian may have even been willing to see her son removed from power if it served her interests. Was she a loving mother? Or was her loyalty to the empire above all else? That question is still being asked today. For you, the answer is clear. Power comes first. The weeks following the rebellion feel like a haze. Days blend into nights, meetings run one into the next, and the pressure never seems to let up. But you've weathered the storm. The rebels have been crushed, their leaders silenced, and your grip on power is once again unchallenged. It's a familiar feeling now, almost comforting. You face down betrayal, conspiracy, and opposition time and time again. And each time, you've come out on top. But even as the palace returns to its usual rhythm, you know, deep down, that this calm is just temporary. Power, after all, is never permanent. You stand at the window of your private chambers, looking out over the city below. The streets are bustling, as they always are, with merchants calling out their wares, children playing in the alleys, and families going about their daily routines. It's almost peaceful, but it's a fragile peace. The empire is vast, and maintaining control over every province, every faction, every whisper in the court. It's a never-ending task. One mistake, one overlooked detail, and it could all slip away. Your son, now older, is beginning to assert himself. The court has been whispering about his rise. They speak of him as the future of the empire, the one who will carry your legacy forward. The heir is an important symbol, yes, but you know the dangers that come with it. He's your flesh and blood, but in the game of power, even family can become a threat. You've seen it before in the history of rulers who trusted their own blood too much and lost everything. As you turn away from the window, you feel the weight of the decisions you've made over the years. Every choice has been a step toward securing your place, and yet there's always more to be done. Your son is not just a successor, he's a piece on the board. And if he isn't careful, he could easily become the next target for those who would seek to tear down your empire. The thought is unsettling, but you know that it's the reality of power. Nothing is ever truly safe. You've spent years building your empire, constructing a legacy that will stand for centuries to come. But as you look at your son, you wonder, will he be able to hold on to it? Or will he be a puppet, controlled by those around him, just like the emperors before him? Your mind shifts to the generals, those men who have always been loyal to you. You've rewarded their loyalty handsomely, but loyalty, like power, is never permanent. You've already started hearing whispers about them, about how some are growing restless, wondering how much longer they'll be expected to serve you. You've given them power, but power is a dangerous thing, especially in the hands of ambitious men, and you know ambition. You know how quickly it can turn into betrayal. You decide it's time to remind them who holds the reins in this empire. Power must be maintained, and the easiest way to do that is to remind those around you that you are not to be underestimated. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty if it means protecting what's yours. The court may think you're growing old, but you know better. You've still got plenty of fight left in you. A meeting is called the generals, some of your most trusted advisors, and a few of the palace officials gather in the war room, awaiting your arrival. When you enter, they rise and bow in respect. But there's something in their eyes. It's subtle, too subtle to be obvious, but you can see it. A flicker of doubt, a question in their minds. They're wondering how much longer you can hold on to the throne. They're wondering if it's time for the next generation to step up. You stand at the head of the room looking down at them, your expression neutral, but your mind sharp. The atmosphere is thick with tension. You don't need to say anything to command their attention. You've earned it. Your presence alone is enough to make them pause, to make them realize that their questions are irrelevant. The question isn't when you'll step down. The question is how long they can remain loyal to someone who's already proved she'll do whatever it takes to stay in power. Gentlemen, you begin, your voice calm but carrying a weight that's impossible to ignore. We've done well. The rebellion is over. The empire is stable once again. But there's more to do. There will always be more to do. You pause, letting the words sink in. You can see their minds racing, each one calculating how best to position themselves for the next phase of your reign. But you're not worried. You've been through this before. You've seen how they operate, and you've already planned for this moment. What you must understand, you continue, is that this empire is mine. It has always been mine. And as long as I sit on this throne, I will ensure that anyone who dares to defy me will fall. This is not a game. This is the reality of ruling. We do not have the luxury of being complacent. You watch them carefully, reading their reactions. There are no outward signs of rebellion, no defiance. But you know how easily they can turn on you if they think they can get away with it. That's why you need to keep them on edge. You need them to remember that you are the Empress. And the only thing they need to worry about is staying in your favor. You finish the meeting with a few more words. Nothing too dramatic. Just a reminder of the loyalty they owe you and the consequences of betraying it. As they file out, you stand there for a moment, taking in the quiet. It's a game, after all. A game that never ends. And as for your son, well, you'll deal with him in time. He's young, and his time will come. But until then, you will guide him, not with love, but with the understanding that power is not a gift, it's a conquest. And in the world of emperors, only the strong survive. Here's a little fun tidbit for you. While Wu Zetian is remembered for her ruthless consolidation of power, some historians argue that she also had a hand in some of the empire's most significant cultural and economic reforms. Did she do it for the people? Or did she do it for herself? Historians still argue about whether her rule was beneficial for the empire in the long term, or if it was just a well-executed survival strategy. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. And you, well, you'll be remembered as a ruler who did whatever it took to stay on top. The nights in the palace have become your time for reflection. As the empire stretches endlessly before you, from the sweeping palaces to the distant provinces, you often find yourself gazing out over the city, lost in thought. The weight of what you've built presses on you in quiet, unexpected moments. You've achieved what few thought possible, defied the odds, and secured your place in history as China's only female emperor. And yet, as the years pass, the cracks in your empire are becoming more evident. Power may have been grasped, but the constant battle to keep it. Now, that's another matter. As you stand there, watching the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the horizon, you wonder how many more battles you'll face before you can truly rest. You think about your son, the heir who is growing more capable with each passing day. He has the ambition, the drive. But does he have the wisdom? Does he have the patience to rule like you have? Or will he be swept away by the forces of court intrigue, just as so many emperors before him were? The questions linger in the back of your mind, unanswered. You've spent years weaving a web of loyalty around you, building a support system that is as much about control as it is about trust. But you also know, deep down, that your position will always be precarious. The generals, the ministers, the courtiers, all of them have their own ambitions. It's easy to forget that, just because you're the one on the throne now, doesn't mean the throne is truly yours for the taking. You didn't climb to this height to let it all come crashing down. It's the sound of footsteps that breaks your thoughts. You turn, finding your most trusted advisor, Li Cheng, standing in the doorway. His face, usually so composed, now carries an unfamiliar hint of unease. It's only a flicker, a brief moment where his eyes meet yours with uncertainty. but you catch it. You've known him long enough to recognize when something's wrong. Speak, you say, your voice cutting through the quiet. What is it? He steps into the room, his hands clasped behind his back. Your Majesty, he begins, his voice low. There have been developments. The way he hesitates tells you everything you need to know. You've been here before, developments is never good news. The ministers, they've begun to rally. There's talk of consolidating power, perhaps even moving against you. You raise an eyebrow, but your face remains impassive. The court has been unstable for weeks now, and you knew it wouldn't be long before another challenge emerged. You'd kept them at bay for so long, but a time like this was inevitable. Even the strongest empire faces moments of doubt, and it's in those moments that the true test of a ruler's resolve comes into play. Who? You ask, your tone cool, though your mind races. You need names, you need a plan. You need to know exactly what's happening in the shadows of your court. The ministers, your Majesty, he repeats. A few generals as well. They're beginning to question your reign, to wonder if the time has come for a new ruler. It's subtle, but it's there. They're waiting, they think you're weakening. You sigh, rubbing your temples. It's not surprising, it never is. The idea of female rule was always controversial. And now, after years of holding the empire together, some of the men who once supported you are beginning to waver. They don't see the empire as yours, they see it as theirs to take, once you're no longer strong enough to defend it. They don't care that you've held the reins of power for decades. To them, your time is over. What will we do? You ask, knowing that Li Cheng will have some idea. He's been with you long enough to know that you won't let this slip away. He steps forward, placing a rolled scroll on the table in front of you. There's a way to handle this, your Majesty. A way to remind them who they answer to. He glances at the scroll, then back at you. We can strike swiftly, decisively, show them that any rebellion will be crushed before it begins. Make an example of those who dare to think they can replace you. You stare at the scroll, knowing exactly what it is. A list of those who have been plotting, those who think they can take the empire from you. Li Cheng has never been one to waste time, and you know that this list is not just names. It's the beginning of a plan, one that will not only secure your reign, but also send a clear message to anyone else who dares to rise against you. Prepare it, you order. No more games. No more doubts. We will put an end to this, once and for all. Li Cheng bows low. Yes, your Majesty, it will be done. As he leaves, you stand once again at the window, looking out over the empire you've built. The stars are beginning to appear in the sky, twinkling softly, as if they're watching over the land below. You've done this before, haven't you? You've fought for control. You've protected the empire. And now, once again, you'll remind them that no one, not the ministers, not the generals, can take what's yours. You glance at the scroll, the list of names staring back at you. Every name on it represents a betrayal, a threat. You will deal with them swiftly, as you always do. Power is something you never take for granted. You never forget that the moment you become complacent, it will slip from your grasp. This empire, this dynasty, it will be yours until the very end. And as for your son, he's still young, but soon, you'll have to prepare him for the challenges ahead. If you can survive this, if you can navigate this wave of betrayal, then he will inherit an empire stronger than any before him. But it will be up to him to keep it. For now, though, you are the Empress. And as long as you breathe, no one will take that from you. A bit of trivia for you. Wu Zetian's reputation as a ruler has been contested for centuries. Some view her reign as one of innovation, seeing the rise of women in the imperial bureaucracy and the implementation of successful military campaigns. Others argue her reign was characterized by bloodshed and ruthlessness, with her purges of rivals marking the darker side of her rule. What's indisputable, however, is that Wu Zetian knew how to maintain power and how to hold on to it no matter the cost. For now, though, the game continues. And you're still playing it better than anyone else. The sound of footsteps echoes in the halls as you move through the palace, your robes flowing behind you with each measured step. The weight of your decisions presses on you, but you don't show it. Empresses don't show weakness. Not now. Not when your empire is on the line. The plans have been set in motion. You've dealt with those who dared question your reign, silencing the whispers before they could grow into anything more dangerous. For now, at least, you've secured your position. But the world outside your palace walls is always shifting. You know that better than anyone. The court may have been silenced, but the provinces are restless. and that restlessness always finds its way back to you. The rebellion has been crushed, but unrest is like fire. It takes only a spark to ignite it once again. You've seen it before in the history of the empire. One mistake, one moment of complacency, and it could all fall apart. You can't afford that. You've worked too hard for too long. Your son has been quietly observing all of this from the shadows, growing older and wiser with each passing year. You can see the ambition in his eyes, the desire to claim what is rightfully his. The court watches him with a mix of admiration and doubt. They whisper of his potential, but you know better. The potential to rule is not enough. He will need far more than ambition to lead this empire. And you're not about to leave this world of power and intrigue just yet. Not when there's still so much to be done. You've seen how history has treated those who've come before you. Those who were overthrown by their own children, their own blood. No, you won't let that happen to you. Your reign won't be defined by a legacy of betrayal. Your son will not take the throne just because he is your heir. He will earn it. If he can outplay you, then he will rule. If not, well, there's always another way. Tonight, the palace is quiet, but the weight of your thoughts is anything but. You've already sent out your orders. The traitors are dealt with. The threat to your rule is neutralized. But you know better than to rest on your laurels. You've heard rumors of a new faction beginning to form in the court, one that sees your reign as a temporary blip, a woman's rule in an empire built by men. They think they can take what you've built, overthrow your power with nothing but words and alliances. You've been playing this game for years, and you've never been one to let words become weapons against you. The truth is, you know that power is never given. It's always taken. You've spent your entire life taking what you wanted, fighting for it, outsmarting those who believe they could control your destiny. You've done it by playing the long game, and now you'll show them how it's done. You call for a meeting with your most trusted allies, the generals who still stand by you, the ministers who have sworn their loyalty. They arrive quickly, already aware that tonight's gathering is not just another routine meeting. The tone has shifted, and you are about to show them why you are, without a doubt, the most powerful ruler in the empire. As they file into the room, you stand at the head of the table, silent and unmoving. They all bow, their faces filled with respect and uncertainty. You've earned that respect, but tonight, you need to remind them why you are the one they follow. You've all seen the rumors. You begin, your voice calm and deliberate, and you've heard the whispers in the halls. But let me make one thing clear. There will be no more whispers. There will be no more threats to my rule. The room is still. You can feel the tension rising, and it's almost as if the very walls of the palace are holding their breath. These men, these powerful men, have followed you for years, but they need to understand something. Loyalty isn't given by mere words, it's earned through action. And if they doubt your power for a moment, they will be reminded that no one, not even the strongest of generals, or the most influential of ministers, can rise above the Empress. You look at them, one by one, your gaze steady, unwavering. You have all served me well, but there are others who have forgotten who holds the reins of this empire. Those who would plot against me, against us, will be dealt with. No mercy, no second chances. We are not weak, and we are not easily swayed by those who think they can outmaneuver us. The generals nod, understanding the gravity of your words. The ministers are more hesitant, but even they know better than to question you now. The time for questioning is over. This is the time for action. You proceed to outline your plan. It's simple, but effective. You will strike at the heart of the faction that dares to undermine you. Their leaders will be removed, their allies scattered, and the power they think they hold will be completely dismantled. There will be no room for doubt. You will show them, all of them, as the meeting concludes. You feel a sense of relief wash over you. The plan is in motion. The rebels will be dealt with. The court will be reminded of their place. Your reign is safe for now, but there's still one more thing on your mind. Your son, you look at him, sitting silently in the corner, watching everything unfold. You wonder what he's thinking. Does he see this as his time to rise? Does he believe that one day he'll step into your shoes and take the throne for himself? You don't know yet, but you'll find out soon enough. For now, though, you're still in control, and you will continue to be for as long as it takes. An interesting historical tidbit, Wu Zetian's reputation for ruthlessness has been a subject of much debate. Some view her as a tyrant who used manipulation and executions to consolidate her power. Others argue that her reign, though harsh, brought much-needed reforms to China. She implemented policies that improved the bureaucracy and helped establish a stronger empire. The truth, as always, is multifaceted. Some call her a villain, others a hero. But one thing is clear, she was an incredibly shrewd and capable leader who knew exactly how to maintain control. And as for you, you're still playing the game, and you always will. You've navigated countless storms in your reign, but tonight feels different. The air in the palace is thick with anticipation. You can feel it. The subtle shift in the mood of the court, the nervous glances exchanged between ministers, the quiet murmur of voices just below the threshold of audibility. Something is coming. And you've spent your entire life preparing for moments like this. The rebellion is over, for now, but your rule is never truly secure. The court has already begun to assess the power dynamics once more, assessing who will be the next to rise, who will be the first to fall. The factions have shifted, but the game is always the same. Trust no one. Keep your allies close and remind the Empire at every turn that you are the one in charge. Tonight, you've called for a final council meeting. You've already dealt with the ministers and generals who were planning against you, but this time, it's different. This time, you're taking the throne from the shadows and pulling everyone back under your sway. Your son, the heir to the Empire, has been under your watch for years. He's learned what it means to rule, to navigate the complexities of the court. But even now, you wonder if he truly understands what it takes to sit upon the throne. There's ambition in his eyes, a hunger for power that you've seen before. But you know better than anyone that ambition alone is not enough to rule an empire. As the ministers and generals file into the Grand Council room, you sit at the head of the table, a silent force that commands attention. The room is tense, and everyone knows why. They know this is no ordinary meeting. This is where you'll show them who's truly in control. The loyalty of your court is fickle. Today, they may bow before you, but tomorrow, they could be the ones conspiring against you. Your son stands by your side, his eyes scanning the room, studying the faces of those who are still loyal to you and those who are not. You've prepared him for this moment, just as you've prepared for the day when he'll take the throne, but for now, he remains by your side. But how long will that last? Will he be the one to take your place, or will he turn against you, just as so many before him have done? You begin the meeting with a steady voice, the sound of it ringing through the room, silencing all who would dare to speak before you. The Empire has been through much. We have weathered storms, dealt with conspiracies, and fought to maintain our power. But we must not forget that the strength of this empire does not lie in the crown. It lies in the people who serve it, and we will not allow anyone to take what we have built. The ministers nod, their faces a mixture of respect and fear. They've learned that your words are not idle threats. Every action you take is calculated, deliberate, and they know that to oppose you is to face certain ruin. Your son looks at you, his face impassive. You can see the doubt in his eyes. He may be the heir, but you've made it clear time and time again that the throne is not handed to anyone. It must be earned. You're not about to let him waltz into power simply because of his bloodline. If he wants the throne, he will have to take it, just as you did. The room remains silent as you continue, your voice carrying the weight of authority. The loyalty of the court is something I value above all else. Those who are loyal to me will be rewarded, and those who are not will find themselves without a place in this empire. The ministers exchange nervous glances. You can feel the shift in the room. They are wondering who will be the next to fall, who among them will remain in your favor, and who will be cast aside. The power dynamics are shifting once again, and you are the one holding the strings. You stand, your movements measured, deliberate. There will be no more challenges to my rule. No more attempts to undermine my authority. The empire will remain strong, and it will remain under my command. Your gaze sweeps across the room, each person feeling the weight of your words. No one dares speak out. No one dares challenge you. The game is over. As the meeting concludes, the ministers file out, each one knowing their place, each one understanding that you are the one who holds the power. Your son watches them leave, but you can see the conflict in his eyes. He wants the throne, but you've shown him what it takes to hold it. There are no shortcuts, no easy paths, and you've made it clear. The throne is yours for as long as you choose to hold it. Now, here's an interesting historical tidbit. Wu Zetian, despite her many accomplishments, faced fierce opposition throughout her reign. Some scholars argue that she maintained control through sheer manipulation and ruthlessness, while others believe she genuinely sought to improve the empire and its people. It's still debated whether she ruled out of a desire for power or out of a genuine belief in her ability to lead. Regardless of the reasons, one thing is undeniable. Her reign was a turning point in Chinese history. But you know why you rule. You rule because you've earned it. And as long as you breathe, the empire will remain in your grasp.